Hey, hey, hey.
What up, what up, what up, great people? It is I, your boy AD.
And it's your girl, D. Yeah, yeah. Y'all
All
know what
right.
time it is.
Y'all know, of course, it's Tuesday night. So, what do we do on Tuesday night?
Twice the advice.
All right. So, tonight we are going to be discussing a very essential topic to relationships, breakups, entanglements, circumstances, and other soirees between people.
Soirees.
We're talking about the healing
Family.
process.
Hey, baby. Thank you for tuning in once again. Hey, wait, before we get too far in, I want to thank you guys again for tuning in one more Tuesday night, joining us for Twice the Advice. Listen, thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing to what we have going on. Yes, AD&D is a movement, so if you haven't caught on to the movement, what you waiting for?
Right. Get in where you fit in.
Get in with this. So let's
get to it.
That's right.
So tonight we're going to be talking about the healing process. And if you've ever been in a relationship, marriage, or circumstance that involved you to have emotions involved, of course, at some point there was a bump in the road that you may or may not have ever healed from. So we're talking about healing patterns, the healing process, and the essential need to be able to heal, the time that is necessary for someone to heal from certain circumstances when it comes down to relationships. You can get yourself involved in some things and you end up with these traumas from relationship to relationship, and you end up doing some of the same things that you've done and repeated before. So it's important for you to heal, and we're going to talk about that some tonight.
Yeah. I think it's important to know, one, that you are not healed. I also think that it's extremely important for you to know what being healed looks like for you. Sometimes you'll find, and I like to use a lot of analogies to give you a great example, but if you've ever been around someone who had to have surgery, right? They'll have their surgery, right? Because at some point or another, it was probably a necessary process. And then they go into recovery, right? And let's say a week later, they start to feel like themselves again, and then they start doing things again because they think that they have healed. And they start moving around and interacting and doing things that they felt like they were prepared for, only to find that they were not yet healed, right? Because they still find pain. They still get short of breath, right? They're still like, oh gosh, I guess I wasn't really ready to do what it is that I'm doing. So a lot of the times this is the same situation that we find in relationships. We think that we're ready. We think that we're healed. We think that it's time, and we get back out there and we're ready to do something. And we've not yet first healed our initial wound. And that causes us to experience sometimes additional hardship because we moved a little bit sooner than we were ready. I don't think we've ever had that before. How do you?
Hey, how you doing, sir? All right, and we're going to continue in the manner in which we were. Oftentimes you have to be able to identify the amount of trauma or pain that a situation may cause. And then, excuse me, as I was instructed by watching a video from the good Bishop T.D. Jakes.
That's right. T.D.
He
is
said,
the man.
you have to identify it and kill it at the root. Okay? And I was having this conversation with my god sister, my wonderful, beautiful God sister who I love so much.
Shout out, Key.
Kiara, I love you, girl. And I was telling her that if you don't kill something at the root, you will go back just days later and you will see that there is something else growing in the space or in the place of what it was that you plucked up. But because you did not get it from the root, it is allowed to grow back and even multiply.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important for you to identify your traumas. Some of those traumas from relationships don't necessarily have to be where it's a relationship between two people that was a physical or sexual circumstance. It can be traumas from childhood. It can be traumas from your mother, your father, or even the guardian that was responsible for raising you. And when you are able to identify these things and get to an understanding of how deeply rooted these issues have become within your character,
Mm-hmm.
you can then begin to work on them to change them and heal yourself from those ailments.
My mom is really infamous for a lot of really catchy kind of like life phrases, right? And she always said, you'll never fix what you don't think is broken. And a lot of the times we never start the healing process because we are not willing to admit that we are ailed, that there is a particular ailment or illness that is causing us to not be in a state of healing. So I've kind of taken that along the ways. And sometimes you have to really kind of stop and say to yourself, like, it is okay for me to not be okay because I have to first acknowledge that I'm not okay in order to be okay.
All right. So sometimes you can feel like you're doing everything right. Sometimes you can feel like you are in a great place, physically or even mentally, and of course spiritually, most importantly. And while you're dealing with certain things, that adversity comes. Boom. You get hit with a shit ton of anxiety and what ifs, self-doubt, frustration. All of these different things will just compile themselves on top of you. But because we are speaking spirits, we have to be mindful and identify certain things. That is most important when you're dealing with stuff like that. When change comes about, usually all hell breaks loose. So that is definitely something that you want to be attentive to. And we're speaking from a place that we both can definitely relate as to where, shit hitting the fan.
One moment. I want to make sure to kind of reel back that statement that he said a minute ago. Shit usually hits the fan just before things begin to change.
Mm-hmm.
So if you notice that you may be in a storm in your life, right? Like everything is just kind of going haywire. It's probably because you're at the cusp of a change, right? And the way that the world works, God in his wonderful way and the enemy in his wonderful way, you will be distracted. You know how they say there's always peace before the storm, right? One and the same that there's always peace before the storm, there's always a ruckus that happens before the peace. So there's no good without evil, no evil without good. You have to have one and the other. And so sometimes we think that everything is going wrong just because everything is going wrong, but sometimes we have to adjust the way that we endure our storm in order to be able to enjoy the peace on the other end of it.
So I just want to touch on the fact that what you were saying about the devil, he has a very peculiar way of working, not necessarily anything wonderful about it, but you'll identify with what it is that's going on, because I relate it to the story of Job. The Bible speaks and it says where the devil was looking for whom he could devour. He was looking for something to get into, right? And the host of hosts said, "Have you seen my servant Job?" And when he said, "Have you seen my servant Job?" he said, "You can touch him, but you can't have his soul," right? So for me, that let me know that although the devil himself does have power, he has no authority. You have to speak and give him that authority. And this is why Job was continuously attacked, and he had to endure so much, because the
Absolutely.
devil needed for him to curse God.
Right.
The devil needed for him to release the power that he had to give the authority to him. He has power, but he has no authority. So his wife began to say, as he broke out into boils and ripped his clothing and shaved his head and all this stuff, she said, why don't you just cuss your God and be done with it? And he says, shut up, woman, silence, because you don't even know what it is that you're talking about. You understand? But Job endured those things. And I'm saying that because a lot of these situations that we deal with, when it comes down to traumas, adversity, frustrating situations and circumstances that we really don't understand, you never know how it's going to polish you and sharpen you in a fashion to where it'll get you through so much more. And then on the other side, the glory that is revealed because you endured and you were able to overcome it.
So I love everything that my husband is saying, because I have a really great personal understanding of the word and how I can apply that to my life, right? But I want to make sure that I reach and touch everyone to make sure that you understand the correlation between the two, right? How do you take something that happened centuries and centuries ago that would be applicable in the Bible, right, and apply it to your life? And the way that you do that is understanding the lesson that is in it, right? So how does that apply to your relationship with your significant other? The way that that applies to your relationship to your or with your significant other, there are going to be family members, friends, associates, and hell, even strangers at times, who will pass judgment on your relationship and tell you, why don't you curse this person? Why don't you forget this person? Why don't you leave this person alone? Why are you concerning yourself with this person? Just be done with them and walk away, and your life would be so much better. You wouldn't be going through such hardship, right? And that's kind of how that correlates to what it is that would be going on in your relationship. No one has to understand the intimate and intricate relationship that you have with your significant other.
Right.
It is not their job. It is not their business. It's not their place. It's your place to understand the relationship that you have with your significant other. And it is your place to stand on that and stay true to that when these storms come, when these tests come, and things get difficult. One thing that I always say to my husband that I don't want to say always say, because that seems kind of, I don't mean that. But once upon a time when we were going through a lot, I would say to him that I forgave you before you even apologized. I forgave you before you even apologized. And the reason for that would be is because it doesn't matter what it is that you're doing, that you've done. I chose to forgive you because I chose to say I do. I may not like it. I might not like the way that it makes me feel. I may have to go through my own recovery process in the end of it, but I forgive you already. Yes, I'm glad you came to me and let me know I can deal with that. I can swallow it and fine. But I've already forgiven you. So let's move forward, because our intricate, intimate relationship, I stand on my choice to say, this is the person that I want to be with forever. And so it doesn't matter what it is. And I know that everyone will have their difference of opinion, but this is what has been able to keep us strong, because there has been times. Hey, how you doing, Doc? There has been times where he and I have not seen eye to eye. There have been times where everything about this relationship has gotten cloudy and it's gotten gray. But what I stand on is the connection that we have, that I know that I can share with you all the ins and outs of our relationship, and you still may never have a full understanding of why we're even together.
Or how. Wonderful things that you're speaking on, just in the sense of understanding the healing process. It doesn't always have to be where it's from a relationship standpoint. It can be from loss. Grieving is something that we all have to kind of go through. When you lose a loved one or a partner, you have to take the time to grieve. The importance of grieving will keep you from making
Sound. Mhm.
I want to say spontaneous emotional responses to circumstances and situations. I myself, when I was very young and immature in different circumstances, because of how I was dealt with as a child, I would act out, and oftentimes it was acting out sexually. There were issues and concerns that I had to identify, and just only 2 years ago, I shared with my mother that there was a child that would babysit me that was molesting me. I didn't understand how that tied into me as an adult until I realized that the way I felt more comfortable with expressing myself was because of what was shown to me and done behind closed doors.
Mhm.
So I felt as if if no one was watching, then it was acceptable, and you get involved into this habit of doing things, and that leads to more spontaneous and lewd and lascivious conduct, just depending on how you may respond,
Yeah, how you process
or how
that.
you process things as an individual.
Yeah, for sure.
So grief, not to cut you
No,
off, but like my wife, when she lost her sister, she went through a very
oh my gosh.
troubling time.
Oh my gosh.
And for my grandmother, when she lost her mother, it then took 12
years.
about 12 to 13 years
About 12,
before
about 12.
she was able to really grasp and get a hold of what it was that she wasn't able to say and wasn't able to do with her mother. And all of that was because of so many different things that they were going back and forth behind, and so many different things that she was battling with emotionally. So you have to learn to heal and accept, acknowledge your role, and be accountable in what it is that you're dealing with, so that you don't have to be in that situation or circumstance for too long.
A key piece, a key part, a major factor in being able to heal is forgiveness. It could be that you need to forgive yourself.
That's right.
It could be that you need to forgive someone else, but forgiveness is key. And the common misconception that we feel is that forgiving someone is for their sake. But the most magical thing that I could share with you, if you haven't already learned it for yourself, is that the most important piece about forgiveness is that it's actually for you.
That's right.
Because if you have resentment or hate or malice or ill in your heart for someone else and what they have done to you, guess what? It has absolutely, positively no effect on them at all. It is what keeps you up at night, what wakes you up in the morning. It is what makes you uncomfortable in certain situations, and it affects you more than it could ever affect them. And so forgiving them sets you free from feelings and emotions and trauma that you don't necessarily have to be tied to. And that is another thing that I know my husband hasn't always understood about why I am so quick to forgive. Grief taught me that. When I lost my sister and everything that went along with that, the trauma and the true PTSD that I have from that exponential loss, because it was so multifaceted the way that loss worked.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that you have to take full advantage of every day. Literally, one day she was here, the very next day she was not. She was 31 years old, married with 6 kids. Life seemed like it was pretty okay. She had a very minor outpatient surgery, and 2 days later she went to sleep and didn't wake up.
Yeah.
That's not a comfortable feeling, and it's not something that you can overnight just get over. And I understand that the amount of time that God had to work on me through that grief, it taught me so many different things that I wish I could just share with people through words, but it can't be shared through words. True experience is the only thing that will teach people that.
So when you speak as far as sharing with experience, right? some of the key ways that you would be able to identify that someone may be going through something and in need of coaching and support
An outlet.
through someone that cares for them,
Mhm.
for them to be able to achieve forgiveness or even to begin the healing process. You would identify with them and inquire, what is it that they're feeling? What
Mhm.
is it that's going on in their personal circumstance? So that you can then say, okay, well, I can relate to that. Or, I'm not sure of what it is that feels like, but I sympathize and I want to be someone that could help you. I want to encourage you to help you get to a place that will allow you to begin healing.
I'll be honest with you. I'm a little bit of an empath. So I can feel your emotion without your words,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
You may be in your mind, right? Everything's okay. You are projecting the everything is okay kind of idea, right? And I can kind of see through that. And it's like, I feel like you are hurting. I feel like you need a hug. I feel like you want to cry. I feel like there's something that you want to say. I can feel that because there's an emotional connection that it just kind of works that way.
Mhm.
Right. And sometimes it takes for someone else to recognize something on you for you to say, oh my God, I didn't know that you could see that. I really wanted to say.
Mhm. Mhm.
And sometimes a person is not prepared to speak on what they're feeling, a hug just fixes it.
No doubt. I have a very close friend of mine. He's our distant cousin, and shout out to old Shakespeare. And Shake, had to bury his mom,
And that's tough.
and I didn't know what to say to him. Because honestly, I have my mother, I have my father. So
When you got that news, however, what is the first thing that I said to you?
you can only imagine what he's going through.
I said, call your mother.
And oh yeah, you said call my mom. I wasn't really concerned about that.
Look,
That's not where my mind was, or my not at all.
And
I was more concerned about
him and his emotional state, which
Exactly.
I understand. However, because I've not lost my mother, thank God. I'm so grateful for that. However, I still deal with, talk to, and love on my niece who lost her mother at a very, very young age. And that piece to her puzzle is an ailment for her.
I can understand.
Okay. I watched that same kind of missing piece affect my mom in a very similar fashion, yet different, right? And I understand whenever there's a loss to that degree, if someone loses their mother, if someone loses their father, if someone loses their grandmother, you are so blessed because you have both of your grandmothers, your mother and your father, and all of your siblings. No matter how much you guys get along or not, you have them all, right? Right. And so anytime something happens with someone's brother, sister, mother, father, grandmother, or whatever, you haven't noticed it, but I'll say, call your brother, call your sister, call your mother, call your father. You don't even have to talk about anything. Just hear their voice. Because one thing that I can at least understand at this point, right, is I would pay good money to hear my dad's voice one more time. And I've called him frequently.
It's different, I guess, and I do understand. It makes plenty of sense with you. I guess that's just the selfishness in me and being raised by myself. I don't care about them people. I don't want to talk to my brothers. Haven't been talking to my sister. We have our reasoning. However, I wish them well. And I mean, if something were to happen to them, then of course I would do what I could to help out, or I don't know, but
for me,
I just think maybe, not to say it in that manner, but if it were that circumstance, then I would deal with that and address that at that point in time.
And I just feel like because I've had such a personal experience with grief of that degree, that it's not worth it to wait to deal with it at that point.
Yeah, but I even when it comes down to it, my two sisters,
three.
My two sisters are the only ones that I actually have that type of relationship with.
Gotcha.
All of my other siblings, it's that distance,
It's an estranged situation.
yeah,
Well,
they
you
were
are
raised in their circumstance. I was raised in my own. So when
you
it's all said and done, it's just like me being big brother. And when I don't do or I say no,
yeah,
finally, then
yeah,
it's like I'm the worst person in the world.
yeah.
And I mean that's kind of the situation. But I mean it is what it is.
I
Thumbs
just
up, thumbs
feel
down.
that holistically, just really random, someone that I know, and I won't name them specifically, but someone that I know posted a status the other day and said, "Hey, if you know who you are as a person,
Hmm.
if you know who you are as a person, like this status, or leave a comment below or something like that, right?"
Hmm.
And I am very much so well aware of who I am, how I grieve, right? How I express happiness, I'm very well aware of all of these different things, right? Which is a part of the reason why I'm very particular about who I involve myself with, how I extend myself, and things of that nature, because I know me, right, better than anyone else does. I know that I am not the kind of person that handles the um, I wish I could have done something different. I don't handle that well.
Okay.
So that's why in any shape, form, or fashion of a relationship, I always put it all on the line.
I'm more of that person. I would try to address something if I feel that it's something that's going to be a hindrance or something that could literally like steer us in the negative direction, and I want to address it, and I want to say, hey, I apologize. I didn't look at it in that fashion. I didn't see that to be something that would be an issue or a concern for the two of us. But I'm sorry. Let's fix this. Let's work this out. And I've been fortunate because in most cases when it's that way, people are willing to hear me out and they can understand that even though I'm a butthole sometimes, I'm really quite, you know, uh, sensitive to circumstances, particularly when it comes down to family.
Yeah.
If it was all left up to me, Michael Jordan would have been my daddy, Oprah Winfrey would have been my mama. I'd have been happy as hell because I'd have had all kind of money. And if you didn't like me, I could pay you to get out of my face.
I don't
But
know.
that's not the situation. You got to live with what it is that you got. You got to play the hand that's dealt to you. And because of
I say play the hell out of the hand that was dealt to you.
But because of the type of people that both my mother and father are, and not to steer away from the people that raised me, because they weren't the people that raised me, but that's what kind of makes me up. That's what has me to be the kind of individual that I am. I'll give you the shirt off of my back and be concerned about getting my own later on. However, because I've been that person, a lot of things have been where I'm more offended because I'm willing to do so much more for people, and then that healing process for me doesn't begin until it's like whatever.
You know what it was? When I met you and I started getting to know you, you immediately took me back to my dad. And my mom would always say, you are always looking for instant gratification. Right?
Okay.
And so which is in most cases the case, right? If you do something, you want to see or feel the appreciation of what you've done kind of right away.
Not necessarily. I'm not in for accolades. It's more so if a person does me wrong, you grown. I ain't got to tell you what you did wrong.
No. I don't mean it that way, because accolades and appreciation are two different things.
Okay.
Right? Right. Because I mean, I don't need you to tell the world that I've done something for you in order for you to appreciate what I've done for you.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's not about the accolades, but it's about the genuine appreciation. And sometimes when you do things for people, they are not in a mental state to show you the appreciation that you deserve in that moment.
Okay.
But it takes for you to be a selfless versus selfish person to understand that person, not that they didn't appreciate what you did, they
may not know how to.
They may not know how to, and they may not be in the state of mind that will allow them to express it in that way. I deal with depression, right? And I'm very open about that. Sometimes I just go through it. I get really dark. Everything gets really cloudy. And even though I'm smiling on the inside, between these two ears, you have no idea the kind of conversations that are going on, right? But I say that to say, Sometimes I am not in a mental state to be able to show you positive appreciation. I just don't have it. Not because I don't care about what it is that you've done, not because it didn't matter to me what you did, not because I didn't see it, but because I am in such a negative state in my mind that I can't put out positivity. So it seems as though I don't care about what you did, or it seems as though I didn't even see what it was that you did. But that's not the, oh, I saw what you did. I see everything that you're doing. I just may not be in a position to provide that positive, true, genuine appreciation. Because I'm like, oh yeah, oh thanks. That does not, it could not possibly feel like that is true appreciation.
Right.
Right. And so I understand, because that's my standpoint, right? And that's something that I live with. So I get it. I understand that other people may not be in a position to say thank you. I've had people come to me 10 years later and say, oh my God, you don't remember we were in middle school in Mr. Johnson's art class and you helped me out because this guy was jumping on me. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're even talking about. It happened so long ago, it's not even relevant to me. But that person finally, however many years later, how many ages later, it came back to them and they were like, I want to show this person appreciation for something that they did for me. If I were the kind of person to be caught up on that, then it's like, oh my gosh, who is this person? Or I may even make you someone that I don't want to deal with because I was looking for that appreciation to come in a specific amount of time.
So when I look at it, situations like that, it's almost like a fear factor type of
You are correct, Roz.
mindset.
What up, girl? How you doing?
Because what she's saying, that dark place is hell.
That dark
I
place
can
is
agree
hell.
because and I say that it's like a fear factor type of circumstances because you're looking at some of the worst things in front of you that you might possibly could imagine. So a lot of these different things are ugly things. A lot of these different things are the unexpected or even some of your worst fears that you are shell shocked and have this PTSD behind. That this is why we're discussing the healing process, because once you're able to identify those things, then you can make the necessary steps forward to make sure that these things aren't something that can overtake you.
And you said the fear factor?
Those fear factor elements.
So a part of what I deal with in my mind, a lot of the times it doesn't really have much to do with my own traumas, so to speak, but fear of being traumatized.
Okay.
I am afraid to create a new friendship because this person may hurt me. I am afraid of experiencing certain things because, you know what I mean? Like it's these fears that make it difficult to kind of get beyond. Hold on one second. I'm going to read this comment. Depression can have you in a mind state while you're smiling on the outside, but inside you are screaming out. Absolutely. And I deal with that a lot because I try to keep a very positive exterior. I try to keep a very positive exterior, and a lot of that is because I use that positive exterior to try to combat some of the negativity that I can feel on the inside. It's not like that all the time. It is not like that all the time. But there are times and moments where I go to really deep and dark places.
I know. I've been here.
However, even for that, though, as a part of my own healing process, I forgive myself.
Okay.
I forgive myself for giving.
But what does that forgiving of yourself truly look like?
Well, one, right? Again, we talked about how forgiveness is for yourself, right? I understand that sometimes even in depression, you can hurt other people, right? By just being where you are because it is such a negative state. But I forgive myself for beating myself up, right? For not giving myself credit, for not saying to myself, you are beautiful, you are enough, you are acceptable, you are, you're all of these wonderful things. I don't always do that. I don't always have the capability to do that. And so when I come out of those dark places, it's like, whew, why did I do that to myself? Okay, I forgive me. I'm not gonna do that again. And it kind of helps me so that when I see that darkness coming, it's like, go back that way. We're not gonna do that with you today. And so it is a battle, and I accept the fact that it is a battle. But I choose to win the war, right? And so I lessen the amount of battles that I'm willing to have with myself by saying,
Okay.
I forgive me, it's okay.
That's definitely a wonderful way to go about that. I might have to try that myself. I'm not much of a I'm more of a bipolar than depression. Um, it can be something that would just set me off, kind of like as a trigger. And I'm like, bro, I'm not feeling that shit right there. Like that is not going to be how we're gonna take today. I'm not gonna take this avenue. We're not with we're not gonna have it. And those things for me have been the way to try to keep myself from just going so wayward far out there, because once I get to a certain place, then it's just like I'm a big ball of emotion.
Mhm.
And then it can come out as frustration. It can come out just as being tired, or just
It could come out as anger. It could come out as tears. It could come out as a multitude of ways.
right.
Absolutely.
And that for me has been something that was definitely hard to heal from, because I didn't really understand how it worked. I couldn't really turn it on or turn it off.
Now, my question is, have you healed from that?
Every day.
Aha.
Every day, continuously.
Still a process, right?
Absolutely.
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 So,
It's almost like recovery from addiction.
oh, absolutely.
Because
every day is a struggle.
And every day is so much more of the a better gateway to the narrative of where you see yourself, even though it may not be where you
That's what's up,
are.
guys. For me, I am instinctively, naturally a proactive person versus a reactive person. If I could do something proactively, preemptively to keep something from happening, that's exactly what it is that I'm gonna do, right? And so I understand that I battle with depression.
Not all the time, but that's a different topic in discussion.
I'm human.
Oh
So
yeah, I
know. I wholeheartedly accept everything that comes along with that.
Indeed. So
that's as graceful as I could put that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No shade.
Yeah, I'm
but
not saying it that way either. I'm only saying that I am much more willing, and then sometimes I just don't care. But I understand that natural and instinctive proactive nature.
I like how you rebound off of that. That was pretty good. That was pretty. Oh yeah, show me. I'm not gonna stop you now. You got a nice little flow going.
I'm not going to do this
I'm
with you.
just saying. You know what I mean?
just think that it's extremely important for you to recognize where you are.
That's definitely
And
a big part of healing.
Absolutely.
And know thyself.
Mhm.
And the expectations, the capabilities, and all of the above, to make sure that you can put yourself in line with what it is that you aspire to do. And nobody wants to be no good for them.
Mhm.
You're not going to do something to yourself that is no good for you, nor are you going to continue to do something to yourself that doesn't feel good. However, if you're able to keep yourself proactively from experiencing certain things, you will definitely implicate that in plan and in action to not be on that pattern. This is
Oftentimes you have to break down in order to break through.
Oh yeah,
And
that was a good one. Shout out to Auntie Nicole, man. She is
Auntie
always
on time.
willing to chime in with what it is that is something
Yeah.
inspirational. I tell you, having people in your corner, supportive people, a support team, a support system. A lot of people fail and fall victim to depression, particularly depression, because they don't feel as though they have the right amount of support or supporters?
Can I say being a being a person with diagnosed depression, I got diagnosed with depression years ago. I just disowned it for a while. But I will say this: what I found to be the most beneficial for me is saying out loud that it is okay that I'm not okay.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of the times when you get to that deep dark place, right, you try to convince yourself that you are okay. It's like, no, I'm okay.
Mhm.
No, I'm okay. No, I'm fine.
I don't necessarily say that I'm okay. I just say it's all good. I mean, I have no other choice but to be
He be lying.
good.
He be lying. He
You
don't be
know,
good. But it's okay to say that you're
I
not
be turning
okay.
wheels. I be
No, but
burning. I be
no.
spinning out in my head.
But
But
this is what I'm saying. But this is what I'm saying. If you're spinning out in your head, let's reel this back real quick.
mhm,
Everything that you do, everything that comes from you begins with a thought.
mhm.
Right? So if your mind is churning in ways that are unhealthy,
Oh no, then I do what I can to block that out. But even in so processing things the way that I do, being an overthinker, judgy mammy, I will go through the up, the down, the in, the outs to dissect something and over and over and over again, create what it is that I feel should be the resolution or the 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 outcome that I'm looking for. How do I get to that place, even when it's come to you, where I have to kind of like coach myself in my head to say what it is that I'm gonna say, so that I don't turn around and put my own foot in my mouth.
and then this is exactly what I'm saying, or exactly what I'm getting at. It's totally okay for you to find an outlet or find an avenue, or your one person in your circle of trust that you can say these things out loud to, because when you're keeping them in your mind and trying to compartmentalize them in your mind while there's negativity swirling around, it doesn't always work to compartmentalize these things, right?
Yeah,
So that's
I
what
have
I'm
to get
saying.
it
Like,
out though. I have to
oh,
get
I
it
know.
off me.
Oh
I have
gosh,
to
I
get it
know.
out. I have to get it off me, or
Oh, I know.
I will carry that. It's like a germ. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is that was hard for me to come to a place to where it was just like, because I was raised by myself. So a lot of stuff that was isolated to me was just like, oh well, I ain't gonna say nothing because it ain't like nobody gonna help me, and
Ain't nobody
can
gonna
do
care.
and it ain't like nobody could do shit about it anyway.
Right.
So
And
that was the way of resolving it for myself.
absolutely. I mean, I grew up very similarly. I had my brother in the house. I mean, I did not grow up in the house by myself, but I was the youngest. My brother was older than me 5 years, and my sister 8 years, 8.5 years. So we had quite a bit of distance in between us, right? And so that caused us to be in different eras. Girls just kind of work that way with more time. I had a connection with my brother, thank goodness. But by the time I was 10, he didn't have time for me. And that's when you get to this very sensitive place as a individual, as a child, where things are beginning to shape themselves and change and shift and all the rest of that, right? And so because of that, I do understand, you get the feeling like no one's going to care, no one's going to listen, no one's going to do anything about it, all of these different things. But I'm saying that I have learned that it is okay for me to come to my husband and say, babe, I'm not okay. It is okay for me to come to him and cry and say, today I am having a day and I don't know why, but this is where I am and I just need you to let me have this minute right now.
You know what I'm going to say, right?
What? I can't stand this man. I can't.
It is what it is. I do understand exactly what you're saying. We don't necessarily have a whole lot of those moments. Just being honest, being quite upfront. We have more of the, okay, look, so you're not gonna do that, or I don't appreciate you doing that moments, and to clarify how we're going to make sure that we compartmentalize what it is that we do, say, or act upon, because that is just as important as making sure that you don't harbor the wrong things and emotions to then just spew them out at any random
Well,
time.
then I'm gonna say this. For 2021, we are compartmentalizing less and trashing a whole lot more. There are a lot of thoughts, theories, concepts that we are taking and literally throwing in the trash.
Oh,
Because
we talking about some old stuff. That's what you're saying. We're talking about. No, I'm asking. I'm trying to make.
let me say it in your ear while you listen.
I'm trying.
If that's what you like to call it. If you like to call it that, that's totally fine.
Petty. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna throw some stuff away. We're gonna get some proceed. Yeah, you was doing the good little thing right there. Look at little thing. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Cool. All right. We're definitely throwing some things away because as a part of that healing process, you have to kind of let go of what's no longer right.
Praise Lord.
Right.
Hallelujah.
Yep. A lot of the times you hurt yourself more so than anyone else by holding on to things that are no more.
Especially after other people let go of things that have been a issue, concern, or hindrance to you in your relationship and partnership.
That meant so much more than what you just said, but
Oh,
I accept it. That meant so much more, but I accept whatever that was that meant to you because it meant so much. There was so much emotion in that statement that I'm glad that you got it out.
Just let it go.
Deja.
Okay. All right.
But definitely, as a community, we are conditioned to suck it up and to be strong, which is why mental health is real. Mental health is so real. And that's why I just took a moment to kind of stop my husband and say that it's okay to not be okay. It is okay to not be okay. That is what causes people to have breakdowns, right? Because you never get to the place of saying, I'm not okay, but it's okay that I'm not okay.
Thank you, Roz. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
It is okay. It is okay to not be okay. Sometimes you actually hurt yourself more by trying to force yourself to be okay when everything in you feels like you're not.
Come again, say that again. No, can you say that again? Can you please say, because I'm an open book. I got health issues right here. Yeah, I'm about 10 eggs short of a dozen. What you say? I want to hear you say that again because you were saying trying to convince yourself of what? What? You're not coming in clear. Hello?
Look at your face.
Hello?
Can you see your face? You sure?
Hello?
I'm not gonna play. We're down one of y'all. Anyway, all I'm saying is that it's totally okay for you to not be okay.
Yeah, that's what you said, baby. That's what you said. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I agree that sometimes we got to cut the suck it up button off and you know what I'm saying, get to the stuff, the mess. You know, we can't sweep it up under the rug and then expose what we want to expose. We got to put it all out there and address it and heal, cleanse, purge. Hallelujah. All those different things to make sure that, you know, it ain't none of that bad juju. You know what I'm saying? We got the Namgangre Kyo and stuff. Burn your incense and sage. And I'm here to support, baby. I want to make sure that you get it on, you know, we're going, you know. All right. Listen, man, we thank you guys for joining us once again on this wonderful Tuesday night. At the advice of the missus, we are going to trash some things, and we are okay with not being okay. We are going to communicate circumstances. We are going to get on board the healing train, and we're gonna ride that sucker out until it is our stop and destination. It is wonderful to be able to identify where you have issues, where you have shortcomings, and when you have triggers and traits that may lead to depression. So be aware of your mental health at all times. Communicate those things so that you don't act or respond on things unnecessarily.
Hey, listen, if you are tuned in really quick, just do me a huge favor and write in the comments that it's okay to not be okay. That's just a personal request of mine. If you could just write in the comments wherever you are that it's okay to not be okay.
It's okay. I know you ain't okay.
You love me anyway.
Yes.
That's all right.
It's okay. And for those of you that are married and have already said I do, it is too late for you to say I don't. So it is best that you figure out that it is okay to not be okay.
It is okay to not be okay.
And then work it out.
That's right. It is okay to not be okay. So listen, as a part of your healing process, one, you definitely want to forgive other people if you have to, forgive yourself because you need to, and know that it is okay to not be okay. So you can truly start that healing process for yourself.
That's right. Because healing is for you and for everyone.
So I think it's time for us to go ahead. I think it's time for us to go ahead and call it for tonight. Listen, I definitely appreciate you guys tuning in with us tonight. It has been a phenomenal Tuesday night.
Tuesday, again, here, YouTube, Facebook Live, Twice the Advice.
Yeah.
We love you guys. Appreciate y'all. Join us again next week.
That's right.
We're gonna do the same thing.
Same time,
same place.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna have on the same shirts. And if we do, we got a washing machine and a dryer. Mind your business. Till next week, man. Peace.
Good night, y'all.